Hello, my name is Ray Piller, and I'll be showing you the PowerShell for IT Professionals course that I've created in Canvas. It has been a pleasure designing this course, and I hope it helps get IT professionals at UNT and elsewhere started on a path of discovery and automation with PowerShell. I thought it would be useful before I get started on the course to give you a little bit of background about me and my experience with PowerShell. Currently, I'm the head of infrastructure for CAS at UNT. I've been using PowerShell in my career for over 12 years. While at UNT, I developed an in-house framework for software packaging and distribution known as Winstall, written purely in PowerShell. I've automated the preparation and deployment of Dell systems coming into UNT's system as a whole using PowerShell and Python. I'm currently finalizing the development of a discovery protocol capture and reporting tool that will be used to accelerate the E911 port mapping requirements as part of the Integrated Communications Platform project for the UNT system. These are just a few of my long list of projects and accomplishments with PowerShell in my career. I've also been a Cisco Certified Network Administrator back in 2002. And I was also a Microsoft Certified System Engineer from 2004 to 2008. And while I have not kept up with my MCSE, I work, develop, and automate regularly in Active Directory, Endpoint Manager, Azure Active Directory, and Intune. In all of these technologies, I focus on DevOps and automation, which is the role I'm in when I'm not wearing my manager's hat. I also regularly present at UNT's PowerShare. All that to say that I'm very passionate about PowerShell, and I can speak with authority as a subject matter expert. I hope my experience and knowledge prove to be beneficial to students as they work through this course. The design of this course is based on the holistic learning environment discussed by Chin and Williams back in 2006. Chin and Williams expanded on the work of Rogers et al. 1994, Cross of 81, and Knowles of 84, and identified common principles that are applicable to adult learners. Those principles are significant learning takes place when the subject matter is relevant to the personal interest of the learner. And that's why this course is geared towards IT professionals. I don't spend a lot of time going over how to hook up a computer, or any time going over how to hook up a computer. I jump right into this is what PowerShell is, and this is how to use PowerShell to augment your current situation. Chin and Williams also discussed that adult learning programs should capitalize on the experience of participants. And that's why I focus on a lot of the real-life examples that I've created, but I also have gone through and made sure that every time we have an assignment, I've made videos, lengthy videos in many cases, that go through and explain how to do the module, the assignment, and in detail. And then I go through and I say, you know what? But if you're having problems with this particular assignment, feel free to discuss it with your peers. And so I redirect them over to a assignment-specific discussion forum that they can discuss things with their peers, and then the instructor can chime in and assist as well. Chin and Williams also said that there is a need to explain why specific things are being taught. And aside from some history at the beginning, I focus on how this is practical in the IT professional's daily work life. Chin and Williams also said that experience, including mistakes, provide the basis for learning activities, which is another thing that I've kind of did in this particular course here. The reason this module is 41 minutes long is because it should have been like a 20-minute video, but I found an issue, made a mistake, and then I explained my thought process as I worked through that mistake so that the students and learners could actually see my thought process and learn to troubleshoot things on their own. And while I was tempted to edit my mistakes out of this particular video, I opted to leave them in as a learning experience and to show how we do it live, right? Chin and Williams also said that adults are mostly interested in learning subjects that have immediate relevant interest to the job. And that's why I have supplied real-world examples from work that we've actually done here at UNT. And that's what these 3 account issues are actually pulled from real life examples that we've anonymized for use in this course. Tini Williams also said that adult learning is problem-centered rather than content-oriented. That's why the students are asked to solve real-life problems and real projects that will be published for others to consume around the world. They'll be publishing to GitHub and PowerShell Gallery, which are all public repositories. And what I'm showing you here are those 3 issues, and this is just an example of when sometimes we get an email that has a lot of information, but really we're just trying to figure out, like, what are you trying to accomplish? And that's what they get to at the very end of this section here. And when they ask, now I can't get to my computer, can you help? And so while I gave them an example of exactly how to solve these types of issues, I worked through one of the issues on my own, I also once again refer them back to the peer discussions. And so they're able to once again go and discuss this particular problem with their peers in their class and figure out how they're going to actually solve it. I was also very careful not to overcomplicate the technology expectations placed on the learner, as was discussed by DeWalker in 2020. I walked through this setting up a generic IAD server on Hyper-V, and that's what this section here is when we get to module 6. And it's gonna go through it, and as you can see, it's a very long hour and 50-minute video, and that's because we go through the setup, which really is just some button clicks and some processes. But then I let them see the progress bar scroll, and so I can say, like, okay, look, it took my computer almost 2 hours to complete this process, so don't be surprised if yours is still running after 30 minutes, right? And so they can see that process in play, and I actually supply them with, I've created the process and automated it, and I give them a PowerShell script to do the setup, which I've got a copy of it over here. And while it looks long, you think it would be long and complicated to create the Active Directory, turn it on, enable it, and also randomly generate over 30,000 users and assign them to over 800 departments in an actual organizational structure. Because of that script, I was able to do it in about 354 lines of code, and using an API that generates random user data that we're able to just consume for free. So thanks to these guys for allowing that to be a thing. The design of this course is also based on the constructivist principles fitting into the module derived by Savory and Duffy back in 1995. All learning activities anchor to larger tasks or problems, and that's demonstrated several times. One of the most notable ones is when in our initial challenges we do some counting that leads up to basic math, leads up to advanced math, and eventually we create some circle functions that calculate the area and volumes of shapes. And then later on, we actually turn those into real-world consumed projects that are actually published to the internet, and so other people around the world can use those to accomplish the same types of tasks. And so that also helps that the learner develop a sense of ownership of this problem or task that they're working on, right? And that's another one of the principles discussed by Savory and Duffy. And these are all authentic tasks, right? And one thing that Savory and Duffy suggested was that we design tasks and learning environment to reflect the complexity of the environment they should be able to function in the end of the learning. And so that's where this domain setup process was created. I even worked through how to work an Active Directory, and I have videos showing them exactly how to dig in to modules and turn those into actually real, get real solutions out of your processes so that you can apply what you've learned into like doing real work in Active Directory as an IT professional. So I'm just about out of time, but I just want to say that with all the lessons and frameworks applied in this course, I think the biggest and most beneficial one is for learning IT and programming in general is the concept of learning by doing, as was expounded by Dewey. And so I hope this gives you a good overview of the course that I've created. You know, and I don't know if you noticed as I was clicking around, I did create rubrics to explain how grading was going to happen. I also created outcomes to be able to track learning outcomes as a whole. And I also created an intro assessment, and we do a final assessment at the end. This particular practice assessment is the intro one. It doesn't count towards grades, but then we also track progress as we go through to see how much we've learned as we've gone through this course. And so I hope that gives you a good idea of my course, and I hope that you found it interesting and informative. And I appreciate your time. And once again, my name is Raymond Piller, and I'm presenting for Learning Technologies 5510, studying under Dr. Kaplan-Rakowski. Thank you so much for your time.